All right, if you are looking for some good news, you can turn to the job market here. We did get those February employment numbers, and, well, it looks like the job market is booming. Former U.S. Labor Secretary Tom Perez is joining us right now. He's also the former chair of the DNC and currently the co-chair of the American Bridge 21st Century. 678,000 jobs created last month, Tom, and I guess what most people seem to think is a relatively broad-based gains that we saw in February here. When you look at the numbers we have for February, combine that with the numbers we've had over the last few months here, are you generally satisfied here that the U.S. economic recovery is on track?
This is not only a good report for last month. The trend data, I always look at 3-month trends. The trend data is moving in the right direction. We are on pace by the end of 2022 to recover all the jobs that were lost pre-pandemic. And the job growth is broad-based. And that's something I always looked at when I was labor secretary. And the unemployment rate can go down for good reasons, and it can go down for bad reasons. Last month, the unemployment rate went down for good reasons because more people had jobs and were in the workplace. In January of 2021, we saw the lowest rate of female labor force participation that we've seen in like 30, 35 years. It's inching up. Still have more work to do, and we need to do a better job in the public sector employment numbers. That will help tick up the female labor force participation rate. But this economy is resilient. There's a lot of uncertainty, to state the obvious, and yet we see things moving in the right direction. And I applaud what the president's doing.
Jump in, sir, quickly. When you look at, though, the negative real wages, that a lot of the progress that has been made has been wiped out because of inflation. How do you tackle that?
Well, inflation is a very real issue for people. And the challenge that we have to understand, to put this in context, when I first became labor secretary, the issue that we were confronting front and center was the plight of the long-term unemployed. Because the stimulus program in 2009 wasn't muscular enough, we had literally hundreds of thousands, millions of people who had been unemployed for more than a year, and frankly, they had lost hope. This recovery, because of the American Rescue Plan, because of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, has enabled people to get back on their feet fast. Yes, do we have inflation? Of course we do right now, and we need to manage that. And the president in the State of the Union the other night outlined a host of measures to bring down the cost of prescription drugs, to address childcare and the like. But I think it's important to understand the historical context. I am so glad that we are not having a conversation right now about the long-term unemployed, because that is a very knotty issue to manage.
It is, and still I have to say there is inequality within the jobs data, and certainly for people of colour. But I'm also interested in your perspective of when we are looking at a geopolitical risk and a supply chain headache that continues to impact the US. I'm looking at car part manufacturing, lost 18,000 people off the payroll, second month of declines. How much more does the administration need to do to enable certain manufacturers to be able to provide and make what they want to make right now and employ the people they want to employ?
Well, that's a very good question, and the president certainly talked about that in the State of the Union the other night. And we're managing through an unprecedented level of uncertainty right now. And I think what we have been able to see in this jobs report and through the actions of the president in the American Rescue Plan, in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, that these efforts have really paid dividends in terms of getting people to work. Now we have to continue, and the supply chain issues. If we want to make more electric cars, we obviously need a number of component parts that are going to be in short supply, and the president is well aware of that. We're working with our allies to address that, working with the large businesses, with suppliers across the country and around the world. This isn't a challenge limited to the United States of America. This is a challenge that we are and must confront together with our allies.
Tom Perez, thank you for your time. U.S. Labor Secretary, of course, former, and now working still within the Democratic Party. He is the American Bridge 21st Century co-chair. We thank you.